Many of us this year are trying to figure out how can we make the best of this difficult situation when Seder comes around next week? How are we supposed to have the Seder that we never would have fathomed would ever be our plans for this year? We had such great plans to come together as families, and now we find ourselves separated from our families. Many of our closest family members and relatives are having Sedarim alone. This is such a difficult situation. How can we deal with this? How can we even fathom having a Seder so not ideal and so beyond our imagination? And I think that if you look closely at the Haggadah, they're dealing very much with this question in a pertinent manner. We start off the Hamagid section of the Haggadah by saying Halach Manya. But at the end of that paragraph, we say Hashta Hacha L'Shana Ba Ba'aretz Yisrael, Hashta Avde L'Shana Ba B'nei Chorin. We say right now we are not in the land of Israel. Next year, hopefully, we'll be in the land of Israel. This year, we are not B'nei Chorin. We are slaves. Next year, hopefully, we'll be free. And I think that at the beginning of the Haggadah, we're noticing that even the Haggadah, even the Seder that we've had for the past 2,000 years, is not the ideal Haggadah. It's not the ideal. And we start off our Seder declaring the fact that this is not the way it should be. And then the Bala Haggadah, the author of our Haggadah, brings two fascinating stories. The first one is about a Seder in Bnei Brak, where a group of rabbis sit together at Rabbi Akiva's home in Bnei Brak, and they have a Seder and they learn about the story of Yetziat Mitzrayim up until the morning. And then we have the story about how Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah is so excited that he had the opportunity to say Yetziat Mitzrayim at night. And he declares that until Ben Zoma came up with the idea of being able to say Yetziat Mitzrayim at night, he had never had the zchut to do so. Now this is a very strange statement. What is Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah so excited about that he said Yetziat Mitzrayim at night? And why is this drasha ben Zoma so incredible and so exciting to Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah's whole world view? And why are we bringing it right now in our Seder? Why do we have to talk about this at the point? And why do we bring this story of the rabbis in Bnei Brak? There's a beautiful Chatam Sofer that explains what's going on. And he says that when Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah notices that he's able to say Yetziat Mitzrayim at night, what he's referring to by night is symbolic of the galut, symbolic of the exile. Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah says, how is it possible for us to speak about Yetziat Mitzrayim, our freedom, when the Beit HaMikdash was destroyed, when everything around us has fallen apart, our whole reality has become something different? How can we talk about Yetziat Mitzrayim? How can we have a normal Seder? And then he realizes, based upon Ben Zoma's brilliant elucidation of the Pasuk, that we can say Yetziat Mitzrayim Balilot. We are able to talk about Yetziat Mitzrayim at night during a difficult time. We are able to keep that same values and that same messages of leaving Egypt alive even in this difficult situation. So he declares with such excitement, after hearing the hopeful words of Ben Zoma, you can say Yetziat Mitzrayim Balilot. And I think that's also what the story beforehand, the story of Rabbi Akiva's Seder and Bnei Brak, comes to teach us. Out of the four rabbis that come to Rabbi Akiva's house, three of them are actually part of a different story that is quite famous. At the end of Masechet Makot, we have a story about Rabbi Akiva and a group of his colleagues are walking through the destruction of the temple on the Temple Mount. And they see a fox run into the Holy of Holies. And all of the rabbis start to cry, except for Rabbi Akiva, who begins to laugh. The rabbis look at Rabbi Akiva and say, what are you doing? Why are you laughing? And Rabbi Akiva says, in the most hopeful manner, he says, when we see the destruction of the temple and the prophecies of the destruction came true, we can know that the prophecies of the Geula, of the redemption, will also come true. And those rabbis said to Akiva, Akiva Nachamanu, you have consoled us, Akiva. Akiva, you have consoled us. And that Pesach, you can imagine, after the destruction of the temple, all of these rabbis lived during the ideal times of having a temple, coming to the Beit HaMikdash with the Korban Pesach. And now they have to restart their thinking of how can we have a Seder in these difficult times? And therefore they go to Akiva's house, Rabbi Akiva's home. The same Rabbi Akiva who consoled them was able to look optimistically, be able to see things from a different light, be able to realize that the role of the Jewish people is not to despair, but the role of the Jewish people is to stand up and reinvent and adapt and try and figure out how can we make the best of this situation and learn from the situation around us and keep the values that we believe in alive. And I think that that's our mission once again this coming Seder. It's not the way it was supposed to be. It's not the way that we had expected. It's not the ideal Seder. However, are we able to take that message of Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah and be able to say Yetziat Mitzrayim Balilot and be able to take the message of the rabbis who went to Akiva's home to gain hope and be able to have a seder in Bnei Brak, even though it's not as we had expected. That power, that koach, that hope is what keeps the Jewish people alive for generations and even in the most difficulty of times. And Bezrat Hashem will be able to pull through once again, come together in a manner which is maybe distant, but come together in spirit and be able to make this Seder something that we will be proud of, that we'll be able to look back on with fondest of memories and know that we can even sit Misaper Yetziat Mitzrayim even at night. Shabbat Shalom.